welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host, Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to One Piece, episode 1070 and 1071. You know why we're here. Let's get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. It is pouring out there, hence why it has been so dark, why we've had these dark clouds and everything. Why I have to have my ring light on. I'm gonna actually start with the ending. I'm going to talk about the ending first because you may have noticed when you went down to watch the reaction and everything, there was a bonus reaction to the new ending. So we're going to talk about that first. This was actually not planned ahead of time, but I decided to do that because I actually forgot about it. I decided to do it when I saw that the new ending was happening, and so it's like, oh, okay, we'll do a bonus for that. Yeah, it was good. I liked the visuals in it. It was very bright and cheery, had a very upbeat, fun song, but not like too poppy. Just a very feel-good kind of outro. A lot of like little fun interactions we see, like we see the minks interacting with the crew. There's one notable thing in the background that I did already know about because I saw it on Twitter, unfortunately, but you see Wanda giving a Garchu to Robin, and it's super fucking cute and also super fucking gay, and it's like, yeah, I'm for that. I don't necessarily ship Robin and Wanda specifically, but just it's still super cute and gay, and yeah, that's it appeals to me. But yeah, this new ending was pretty good. The previous couple endings never really did anything for me. I never really had any thoughts on them. I'm not really gonna watch this that much more, I'm sure, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing it. And hey, if this becomes a more consistent thing, especially going forward, into the final saga of the series, where the preview's going to come after that instead of after the to be continued screen, I'm going to like that. Because I hate that the preview for next episode comes right after the to be continued normally, and has a huge risk of spoiling you. I've never liked that. But anyway, let's actually talk about the episodes. So I'm gonna get some minor stuff out of the way because there's obviously the big thing I have to talk about, but probably the second biggest thing with this was Hiyori's moment. Her revealing herself fully to Orochi and watching him burn from the remnants of Kanjuro's flame thing, his creation, is super satisfying, seeing the anger and pain on her face as she tells him who she is it's absolutely wonderful. Like, I adore Hiyori. I have adored Hiyori. I've made no secret of that, and this was easily her best moment. It just really felt like everything for her character arc had been building up to this, and it felt like a satisfying way to really encapsulate that all. We had some other minor stuff here, like the crew and everyone kind of reacting to the idea that Luffy was quote-unquote dead. Nami, her big moments of refusing to believe it and arguing against it and calling Kaido a big stupid lizard. I love that that Oda chose to have Nami be the one to do that. Tama did it a little bit too, but Nami was the big focus for sure. Um, because it's just like Nami is one of the original crew members, one of the first three, along with Luffy and Zoro. And considering her entire story and how everything has gone with her character, it works, especially with what else we've seen with her in Wano. Like her define alti to stick up for Luffy and everything. It's like Nami has been just peak this arc. And a lot of things you could say that about with Wano. But this is some of Nami's best shit. Easily. Um, and again, you have Kid and Law. You have the stuff with Yamato inspiring and encouraging Momonosuke. And it's all great to see, but literally everything had been building up to this. Not just the series itself and little hints that had been set in place since Skypiea. Again, whether intentional or not, because with Oda, you never know. Some things he did not intend originally, and some things he very much did. So, this I almost kind of feel like it has to be, but I don't know for sure. But this was built up for so long, and what the gear system coming in shortly after Skypiea and everything in Eni's lobby, and really just starting to kick off a lot. Not to mention, those of us who are anime onlys have been waiting for this since it was, well, for a lot of us, spoiled. Like, when this first happened in the manga. When this first happened in the manga, like, again, over a year ago or so, like, no one was keeping it a secret. No one was trying to hide this. And it's one of the reasons why I consistently call One Piece one of the worst fan communities in the world when it comes to spoilers, especially, because they don't give a shit. In their eyes, if you're not reading the manga, you don't matter. If you're an anime only, you don't exist to them. To them, all that matters is you only matter if you're reading the manga, and only if you're caught up. They will go on all social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, whatever else, Instagram, and spoil the shit out of this because they can. And they're not even like putting it in with tags that say like, oh, hashtag One Piece spoilers or anything like that. No, they don't even do that. Like that, if they did that, that would be acceptable because you could avoid those simply by marking the hashtag as not appearing for you. But instead, they don't even do that. They just put it up. So when this first happened in the manga, I couldn't help but hear about it. And I didn't know all the details surrounding it. I just knew it was Gear 5th. I knew it was I knew it was the sun god Nika. I knew that his fruit was called the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, mythical Zoan type. That's what I knew. The rest of this, I knew, well, he could, like, bend things to his will as well. Like, kind of like reshape reality, I guess you could put it. But again, I didn't know all the details on how it happened. I didn't know a lot of the stuff. I knew about the Drums of Liberation more recently. That was, I don't know, semi-recently. And even then, I still don't know everything he can do or everything he's going to do with this power. Because once I started getting spoiled, I kept trying to avoid it. But again, the One Piece community fucking sucks with that, so. And especially lately, it's not just the community, it's the fucking companies. The studios, Toei and everything, the all of the official Facebook pages or and Twitter pages and whatnot. It's like they're all spoiling. They were literally building up to this. They were making events and everything and building up to the debut of Gear 5th. They were calling it, they were saying it was Gear 5th. They were showing images of Luffy in this form. They were spoiling the ever-loving shit out of it. Even the companies, even the studios didn't give a shit. And at this point, I kind of feel like maybe they just didn't give a shit because maybe they knew everybody had already been spoiled already. If you were somehow a One Piece fan and weren't spoiled on this, ahead of seeing this episode, you have some godlike powers in avoiding spoilers. Like, I do my absolute best, and I could not avoid it. Like, even just scrolling through Twitter today, it was everywhere. Like, I wasn't like I had to avoid watching any videos or seeing any specific screenshots. Every time I saw any hint of it, I just had to scroll along. And I avoided seeing, like, pretty much any details. I just knew there was, Luffy and everything. And I had known about the thing in the ending with Wanda and Robin. But that's luckily what I was avoiding. And luckily, I was able to avoid all the details about how this went in this episode. Because people definitely were spoiling the shit out of it. And I eventually just had to get off Twitter. And I ended up just watching a bunch of videos on YouTube. Luckily, I didn't see any spoilers in my suggested feed or on the sidebar or anything. But yeah. So Gear 5th. The Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika. The first time this devil fruit has been awakened in 800 years. Since JOYBOY. This is literally the return of JOYBOY. JOYBOY is probably named as such because of the usage of this devil fruit. Like, you saw that reaction, unless you just are watching these afterthoughts and didn't watch the reaction first. But if you watch the reaction, you saw how I reacted to this. I, had multiple levels of breakdown here. Like, I was crying my eyes out. I was laughing. Like, every time something new happened, every time there was a new cartoon sound effect, or he pulled Kaido and his eyes popped out of his head and everything, it's like, I was losing it. It was one of the most hype, most funny, most exciting things I've seen in animation. Probably in just all of media. Like, I'm pretty much calling it at this point. And yeah, a lot of this is due to hype, initial hype after just seeing the episode. But if you can watch episode 1071 and not call it the best episode of this series, I don't know what's wrong with you. Because again, it's not even just about how much happened, because let's be honest, not a lot happened in the episode. There was a lot of time where it's just literally Luffy bouncing around, laughing. Not much actually occurring until near the end. It's not about that, though. It's about, again, everything that this was built from. Luffy said it himself in the episode. This is his peak. This is the awakened devil fruit. the true nature of his devil fruit, which we know is not a Paramecia type now. We thought all this time that his devil fruit was called the Gomu Gomu no Mi, the Gum Gum fruit, and that it was a Paramecia type, because that's what we had been told. But we find out that that was just revisionist history by the world government to hide the true nature of the devil fruit. That in reality, it's not a Paramecia type, it's a mythical Zoan. And it's not the Gomu Gomu no Mi, it's the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. He has the same type of devil fruit as Chopper, but just a mythical variation of it. That's insane to think about. It makes you genuinely wonder how far back Oda was planning that. Like, what if this was the intent from the beginning? Again, with Oda, you don't know, because some things he just pulls out of his ass at the last moment, like the entire Worst Generation. That was just a spur-of-the-moment addition that he just threw in. And some things he had planned for a long time. So which is this? But the animation, the sound effects, everything about this was so perfectly executed. Like, from the out of context bits I knew about this, it's like I couldn't have even imagined it would be this good. And if people hadn't been spoiler happy, and if I had been able to go into this blind, I would have lost my shit even more. Like, going into this blind would have been probably one of the single greatest things I could ever have a hope to see. And considering how strongly I feel about this already, that's saying a lot. Like, this is peak One Piece. And there's been a lot of discourse on social media about whether or not Gear 5th Luffy is more iconic than Super Saiyan Goku as like a transformation. And Totally Not Mark and some others have been echoing this line that you cannot say yet, because Super Saiyan Goku has had decades of effect on animation, on anime, on cartoons, on the world as a culture. It's impossible to currently say whether or not Gear 5th Luffy can be considered culturally more significant than Super Saiyan Goku. It can't be said until decades have passed to see how this affects and influences the future of anime and of cartoons and of fan culture. What can be said is your personal subjective opinion on which you like more. That can be said, because that's just an opinion. Whether something is culturally important is based on fact of how it literally impacts the world's culture in terms of fan content like this. Fan-based content. Or rather, like, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So, can you say that, in your opinion, Gear 5th is leagues better than Super Saiyan as a transformation? Yeah, you can easily say that. You can say you think it's better, that it has better build-up, that it has more significance to the story, that it's cooler, more entertaining, more enjoyable, that it's a bigger, in your opinion, upgrade from what the character could do before. Stuff like that. Um, and for me, I would say stuff like that. And mind you, to be fair, I've never been the biggest Dragon Ball fan. Like, I'm a very casual Dragon Ball fan. It's like, I like a lot of the characters, there's a lot of the stories I like, but all in all, there's a lot of issues with Dragon Ball. And there's issues with One Piece too. But I feel there's more issues with Dragon Ball for me personally, uh, that affect my enjoyment to the point where it's like, I don't really care that much about Dragon Ball. I don't hate it. I just don't really care that much about it. Um, and One Piece's issues don't detract as much from the insane positives the series has, in my opinion. And I would say, because of stuff like that, because of, yes, I do have more of a personal attachment to this series, obviously. I would say that, in my opinion, Gear Fifth is a better transformation. I cannot say it's more culturally significant. That's impossible to say right now. But I can say that I personally believe it is better. For the reasons I mentioned. I think that it's more significant to the story. I think that it's better built up. That the difference between regular Luffy and Gear Fifth, or even just Gear Fourth and Gear Fifth, is greater than the difference between regular and Super Saiyan Goku. I think that it's more entertaining and interesting, and it just feels bigger to me. It just feels more impressive. It feels like a bigger moment. Goku's original Super Saiyan transformation in the Frieza saga was a big moment, for sure. But I've always thought that the cultural response to it has been way overblown. It wasn't that big. It wasn't that impressive. It's a big moment, but, fan culture will be fan culture, and they took it way too far. And it influenced a lot of stuff. And to say that it didn't influence this, like, of course it fucking influenced Gear Fifth. Dragon Ball in general influenced a shit ton behind One Piece. I don't think Oda's ever denied that. In fact, I think he's probably confirmed it. A lot of these shows, especially the classic shows, have very much influenced the modern ones. That's how a lot of storytelling works. You don't think something like Spider-Verse was influenced by stuff before? No, of course it was. Just like a lot of stuff is now being influenced by Spider-Verse. A lot of live-action stuff was influenced by stuff that came before it. And that's always going to be the case. One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, they were all influenced by Dragon Ball. You kidding me? Just like My Hero was influenced by those. And everything that came before. It's like that's just going to keep on happening. Jujutsu Kaisen took heavy inspiration from stuff like Bleach. It's like One Piece is very inspired by Dragon Ball, and it's very easy to see. I feel like a lot of fan culture is also like arguing over what's best. And you can have your opinions. If you think One Piece is better than Dragon Ball, that's fine. I do too. But it's opinion. If someone thinks Dragon Ball is better, if someone thinks Dragon Ball is the best media franchise in the world, they have that right. They're perfectly correct in that because it's their opinion and it is for them. It's subjective. Quality of a piece of media is subjective. Just because I think this is this amazing and perfect and wonderful doesn't mean everybody will. Some people will probably watch this and think, wasn't that special. And they have that right. That's perfectly valid. Just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean that they are wrong. That's not how any of this works. One Piece is my favorite piece of media of all time. It is legitimately my favorite thing I've ever taken part in that regard. And I've heard a lot of people say they don't like it. And as long as they're just not disrespectful assholes about it, I'm fine with that. If someone's coming around just being a twat and just attacking people for no reason because they like One Piece, it's like, yeah, oh, fuck you. Fuck anyone who does that. But if they're just like saying, like, I don't get it. I tried watching it. I didn't enjoy it. I don't think it's that good. It's like, fine. You're entitled to that. You are perfectly reasonable to have that belief because it's all opinion. And I would hope other people have the same when I say something like that. Though I've already experienced plenty of times in my life that not happening. Believe me, people have pissed on me for not liking Code Geass, or for thinking that Cowboy Bebop is extremely overrated. It's all opinion. Just don't be assholes to each other. It's as simple as that. This episode brought me extreme joy watching it. Again, you could tell just, if you were watching that reaction, you could tell by my reaction, I was on a massive high. I was on cloud 9. I was in so much, like, pure happiness watching that. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. Like, when I say that I think this is probably the best episode of this series, I mean it. And it's because of how much it clearly impacted me. This episode, it wasn't just of how impressive it was, and it was very impressive on a technical level. But it was about how much it affected me as a fan. How emotional it got me. How intense my reaction to it was. And I went into this knowing that I would more than likely enjoy this. But I did not expect to have that reaction. I did not expect to be... I expected to cry. But not like that. I expected that I would enjoy it, but I didn't expect to be, like, losing my mind as much as I was. Because, again, I think part of the reason I didn't expect that was because of I had been spoiled. And because I was spoiled, I expected my reaction to be a lot more tame. But it's like, when the Drums of Liberation started, it's like a switch flipped. And I became a mess really fucking quick. And once we see, like, the transformation, like, slowly happen at the beginning of 1071, see his, like, at first just the hair, but eventually even the clothes be affected because of, you know, Devil Fruit Awakening. As we remember from where it was introduced in Dressrosa, an awakened Devil Fruit affects not just the user, but everything around the user. Just like how Dofi could turn objects around him into strings, like houses and whatnot, Luffy can use his rubber hose animation, Looney Tune goofiness to affect other things. Like I said in the reaction, I think when he yoinked Kaido up back to the roof, and we saw Kaido's eyes pop out of his head. I think that actually happened. Like, that wasn't just a visual treat for us. I believe that actually physically occurred. That cartoonish goofiness was something that everyone there could see. Even though no one specifically addressed that specifically, I believe that because that's how Devil Fruit Awakening works. And to see that the world government is so fucking scared of this power that they would send one of their best agents, they even said it themselves, on what is literally a suicide mission. They literally, like, he literally stood there knowing and waiting for Kaido to kill him in response to what he did, because it was a suicide mission. He was meant to die there, and he followed orders. He just had to make sure that Luffy would be distracted enough so that Kaido would kill him, and then he was meant to be killed by Kaido, because the world government knew that Kaido wouldn't let that stand. So he just stood there and let it happen. And we see that that's how scared of this power that they are. They wanted to try and make sure Luffy died, even at the cost of one of their best agents' lives. They were sending someone to his death just to try and kill Luffy. And it didn't even fucking work. It didn't even fucking work, because the power of the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika is too fucking strong. And I genuinely wonder what people think about the entire fake out death thing here. Like, I wonder if some people think that he actually did die and the fruit brought him back to life. I don't think that's the case. I feel like he was just pretty much on the verge of death. Like the guy in Princess Bride would say, almost dead is not the same as full dead. That's not the exact quote, but paraphrasing. He was almost dead. He was on the verge of death. He was pretty much right there. But the devil fruit awoken at exactly the right moment to keep him alive, because his powers literally bend reality. Therefore, by awakening, it would allow him to live despite his injuries and everything. It would allow him to reshape that reality to his will. And it works. It completely works, in my opinion. I just love this that goddamn much. I really did. And now the final battle against Kaido truly begins. There's definitely not that much left in this arc. This battle, I don't think, is going to last forever. It's going to last maybe a couple episodes. And then we're going to really kind of settle into the fact that Kaido is defeated for good. And we're going to go into the aftermath of the arc, like the post-Wano stuff. That's all I feel that's left. Like, I can't see this lasting more than 3 episodes at this point. With as powerful as this Devil Fruit is, like, Kaido doesn't stand a chance. Like, I really don't think he's going to be able to do anything here. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know for sure, and obviously I don't want to be spoiled. Because, as I've said, there are certain things I know about things coming up. But I don't know a lot of the context behind them, and I don't know a lot of how it's going to go or whatnot. I just know, like, things occur. I know of certain characters' existence, that kind of stuff. And so I want to continue to remain as spoiler free as I can. I'm still doing my best to avoid spoilers. Even with this fucking community. It's like I can't even fucking like block the words One Piece on Twitter because some people won't even leave a warning for that. That won't even work because they won't put One Piece in the description of the tweet. They won't put any words that would be associated with One Piece. They'll put something like, "This is really cool," and spoil the shit out of you. It's like, am I supposed to block the word cool? Come on. That's how bad this community is. It's insane. It's absolute insanity. We did also get a preview of Gear 5th during One Piece Film Red. It was very briefly and very vaguely shown. Like, we didn't really get a good view of it at all. And that was intentional. It was like, this takes place... Like, obviously Film Red doesn't take place in the canon. But if it were, it would have to take place after Wano, because Jinbei's with the crew. So, yeah, Luffy would have Gear 5th. And so, we got a little taste of that, but they made sure not to be too spoilery. They made sure not to be too heavy with that. Because they knew, I presume this is the reason, they knew there would be some people who still didn't know. Though, they basically, in the recent weeks, just said, fuck that, and just started spoiling it all over their social media and shit anyway, so... Who fucking knows? But yeah, this was peak. This was absolute peak. I don't know how One Piece is going to get better than this, but I trust Oda that it will. I trust Oda that the final saga is going to be next level, that even Gear 5th will eventually just kind of, not fade into obscurity or anything, but even that's going to be overshadowed by some of the stuff that's going to come. Some of the shit that's going to be in the final saga is going to be insanity, like, to a point that even this isn't. And this is insanity. But in the meantime, tell me in the comments below, were you spoiled on this too? Like, I did in a previous reaction at one point, I did like a little spoiler thing at the end of my, afterthoughts to talk about it very briefly. And I made sure to mention in the video and everything, and even with the video's subtitles and everything, that or not subtitles, the video's chapter on the progress bar. I even mentioned that it would be spoilers and everything, and I made sure to like warn everyone with plenty of time to click off the video. So yeah, it's like I did talk about being spoiled on it before and all, but it's like, if you went into this, if you saw this without spoilers and everything, if you weren't spoiled, I still say I envy you. I have no idea how you did it. Either way, what did you think of Gear 5th? What are your thoughts on the true nature of the Hito no Mi model Nika? What are your thoughts on Luffy's awakening here? And how his abilities affect everything around him. What do you think of how this completely changes this series? And your thoughts on just how big of a deal it is. What are your thoughts on Hiyori's section in this? The new ending, and everything else that these two episodes had to offer. Let me know down below, and for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.